So I'm sure you have heard about the conflict that's happening between Israel and Hamas on the Gaza Strip. Now, what the news is not telling you is how many players are about to jump into the fold should this escalate. Now, I'm going to cover for a couple of articles what's been happening, and we'll see whether Lebanon jumps in, Syria jumps in, and a few other ones. I don't want to spoil the video yet, but I really do believe that the probability of a full-blown Middle Eastern conflict with multiple parties jumping in is starting to reach a critical point, especially on a potential ground invasion. And I'll show you the probability of that is super high too. Now, U.S. Embassy tells Americans in Lebanon to get out while you still can. It's not just the U.S. Embassy, it's also the British embassies, by the way, as 20 Hezbollah rockets land in Israel. Now, Biden, in private comments, told Netanyahu he has the green light from Washington to launch a fuller offensive. Now, 20 rockets have already been fired from Lebanon. Now, I'll show you the couple of countries, not just Lebanon, but skirmishes are happening all over the Middle East, and they're starting to send attacks to Israel as well as the US, right? Now, 20 rockets, by the way, is nothing. Hezbollah has tens of thousands of rockets and manpower and tech to surpass Hamas, right? So the escalation with Hezbollah would be insane relative to the level of conflict that's happening right now in the Gaza Strip, or between the Gaza Strip and Israel. Now, the British embassy also told its citizens, if you're in Lebanon, we encourage you to leave now while commercial options remain available. Beirut's international airport could be the first to be bombed by Israeli strikes, as happened in 2006. We have precedents for this. Lebanon has a high likelihood of joining this conflict, and we can see that other nations have a propensity to join this too. Now, what is the probability of a ground attack? Well, Israel's economy minister says hostages and civilians will be secondary to the priority of destroying Hamas. They don't care if the hostages die at this point. That's what the government's saying. That's how serious they are. Adding the tunnel network will become the world's biggest cemetery. I mean, unless they're going to flood the tunnel networks, it looks like it's going to be a ground assault from Israel. Now, is this complete confirmation? But they're talking like it's going to happen. And they're giving the forewarning. Now, not only this, right, we're seeing attacks intensify. We talked about, or at least the news talked about, the hospital attacks. The hospital attacks have been proven, at least to a significant degree, that it was a mistake from Hamas as opposed to a real strike from the Israelis. But it looks like an Orthodox church, right, it was hit by Israeli airstrike. Now, it's a claim, this moment's not confirmed, but I can show you evidence that it's a high likelihood that it was a real airstrike, because Hamas controlled interior ministry says several displaced people who had taken shelter at a church compound in the Gaza Strip have been killed and injured in the Israeli strike. Now, get this, the strike left a large number of martyrs and injured at the compound of Greek Orthodox Church, ministry says. Now, this is also really important, the fact that it's an Orthodox church. And if it's legit, it could really bring potentially Russia into the fold. So, now you can probably see from the headlines, we got Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Yemen, and so forth. We're going to go through all of these. But one thing I want to bring up is the probability that should this escalate, then we're going to see, Russia join into the fold, right? So Russia, Black Sea, Israel, right? So you can see here that Putin has just sent jets with hypersonic missiles into the Black Sea too. We're not going to watch this, but that is going to be brought into fold should there be attacks on the Greek Orthodox Church, because the Russians also have an Orthodox Church, right? And they want to sort of defend their own too. So here we go. They're sending hypersonic missiles to patrol the Black Sea. And just for a little bit of context, Black Sea maps. So we're just going to go into Google Maps and show you where the Black Sea is. The Black Sea is just south of Ukraine and to the west of Russia, at least the current borders of Russia. So they have access to it. It's just north Turkey as well as Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, Israel. So it's not too far. And they can strike from not too far of a distance, right? So Russia's joining in, right? And not only that, the American troops have been injured in the last 24 hours from drone and rocket attacks on their bases in Iraq and Syria. And this is likely from the Syrians. Now, not only that, we know Saudi Arabia wanted to do alliance with Israel. The Yemen-Saudi Arabia war is still happening. And we just had, well, according to CNN, U.S. Navy vessel in Middle East region intercepted multiple rockets launched from Yemen, right? Launched from the Iran-backed Houthi militant group. Now, if this is true, then Yemen's joining in and Iran is joining in, which is not that much of a surprise because Iran has been supporting Hezbollah as well as Hamas. At least that's what's been going around. So if there is an escalation, if Lebanon joins in, then you can bet that Iran's joining now. If Iran's joining in, and Syria is probably going to join in there too, and Yemen. So we're starting to lose count, all right? And then there's Russia. So we've already got 5 countries that look like they're about to join in, have either actually attacked Israel already from the sidelines, or they're giving indication, or they've attacked American troops, right? So this is getting starting to get out of hand, right? And even, we've had fights in Iraq. So Iraq in some way is joining in, right? This is starting to escalate. And to be honest, Israel doesn't really care. I'm not sure if that's the right word. I mean, according to that same economy minister from Israel, near Barakat, they'll attack even if it takes a year. The Israelis, that is, right? So, and also, just to go into a little bit more detail, the province of Quneitra was also attacked by the Israelis against Syria. And Syria has been attacking the Golan Heights, which are occupied by Israel. And it's kind of like a Golan Heights is kind of like a, it's kind of midway point between Lebanon, Syria, and Israel occupies it. And they've been experiencing attacks. There's been exchange of skirmishes between Lebanon and Syria. So if we can extrapolate that, it looks like Lebanon and Syria are very close, or at least give indication that they're joining in that fight. So we've had 5-6 different players about to jump into the fold, right? Now here we can see that the American troops, the attacks on American troops in Syria, we'll probably skip the sound, but we can see some of the damage that's happening and the probable escalation. Now, I suppose we can say, what's this got to do with us? Well, obviously, it can devolve into World War III. But I don't think the market is pricing in, for example, how much of an oil shock this could be, how much of a increase in oil, and how this could absolutely affect our economies. Right now, oil is at under $90, right? It hasn't even reached the heights of 125-ish back in 2022 with the Russia-Ukraine conflict, right? We can very much head up there. And, that would be a 40% increase in petrol prices now, or crude oil prices. But not only that, right? If we look at the 1970s, oil, the price of oil doubled, tripled, and caused a crap ton, this immense amount of inflation, and we couldn't handle that level of inflation until the 1980s, which is like a decade later. So even and that wasn't like this. This is even more intense than that. You could say there's more players into the fold, and even Russia looks like it's jumping into the fold. This could escalate further than any of the oil shocks we've seen in the 1970s that took 10 years of interest rates and central bank interventions just to get a handle of that inflation. Now, if you thought inflation was high, if you thought interest rates were high, I do. I've got investments that are sensitive to interest rates and loans and all this sort of stuff to control and pay off. This is absolutely hard on my hip pocket. It's probably to you too. Economically, this is war too. Anyway, what do you guys think? Am I fear mongering? Did you like this video? If you did, just let me know. If you didn't, you can hit the dislike, hopefully not. But hit the like button, share with your friends. It's far more serious than I realized. And if we're looking at gold, now I don't want to push gold or anything like that, but gold is a fantastic sort of indicator of fear that has spiked. And fear, has spiked. Anyway, thank you. Send a like. Much love.